Hello and welcome to this show brought to you by AAF in association with ET Pharma. My name is Muqbil Ahmed. I am the editor at ETCIO and ETCISO. The topic for today's discussion is From Infrastructure to Impact, Rethinking Data Centres. Now, before I move forward with this discussion, let me add some context to it. We would all know and appreciate that AI is the flavor of the season, as they say, and it has tremendously impacted human lives, the way we work, the way we live. And there are several other technologies doing the same. For example, IoT, cloud computing, data analytics, so on and so forth. Now, at the back end of all these technologies, the backbone of all these technologies are the data centers, without which none of this would be possible. So today we are going to discuss about the extremely crucial role that data centers play in digitization, the tremendous significance that they have come to have, and also how do you maintain and keep them in a healthy state, and the extremely crucial role that indoor air quality plays in the maintenance of such data centers. And joining me in this discussion are two very senior technology professionals here. It is my great pleasure to introduce Mr. Rohan Sheth, Head DC, Build, Colocation and Global Expansion at Yotta. And joining him is Mr. Deepak, Nanaware, Head Engineering and Marketing, Middle East and India at AAF. Welcome to the show, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I hope all of you are doing well.
Yes.
Great. So, as I spoke about it during my initial address, Rohan, would you like to expand on the context that I was trying to set? Opening remarks from you.
Right now, AI is the new flavor of the season. As you say, data is the new oil. And going by the recent events, so just to give you the viewers the overall context, cloud business has been on the, you can say, surge over the last 10-15 years, especially from an Indian or an APAC market perspective, the Middle East, the APAC market perspective. In India, especially if you see, the cloud adoption started from early 2010s and everything. The hyperscalers came and the cloud setup was started around 2014-15. In the last 10-12 years, we have seen the cloud market grow at a more than 15 to 20% CAGR in India. And while that growth itself was good enough, or it is on, if you see in isolation, it is good enough. New data center companies. So it started, India had around, traditionally 3 to 4 data center companies. In the last 5 to 6 years now, if you count, there are around 30 data center companies now in India, which have made the base. There are new ones like us, Yotta, which have entered the market in the 5-6 years. And there are global, players which have, come and set their base, especially in Middle East, in India, and, the smaller other Asian markets. That was just on the, the growth that the cloud market was seeing. Now, if you add the, and the cloud market had its own reasons to grow, the 5G adoption, the mobile users, the increase in the number of mobile users, the enterprise, adoption of the cloud, and all these reasons were already there. The space was, you can say, the market was good. Suddenly, with the 3-4 years, the last 3-4 years, the way the AI scenario has suddenly hit the market, and it's just, you can say, added booster shot which the overall industry has received, and the growth which all had predicted for the the cloud market, that is there, the data centers and the that growth was already going on and it is there. But now when you add AI to the mix and the explosion that we are seeing in the overall demand and the overall the market, and there are other initiatives which the government has taken. In the recent budget, there is a 25-year tax holiday to all the international cloud service providers which the government has announced in India. And the geopolitical situation which is there all over the world makes India one of the leading, you can say, the growth spots for this overall data center and AI infrastructure, in initiatives and investment that is there. So looking at the overall scenario, we can say It is just the right mixture or the right components are there, and it's the right time for the overall industry just to look forward and just make the best use of it.
Absolutely great inputs from you, Rohan. And I totally agree that AI is the new booster shot, and data centers have a very critical role to play in that. Moving on to Deepak. So, Deepak, what Rohan talked about. So, data centers are becoming increasingly mission critical. What do you think about that, and where does IAQ fit in?
If you go back and look, because we have been operating in this segment across the globe, and we have been working with leading players and including Yotta also in India. So how it started in the West, where the climate is good, the outside pollution is very less. So they were using, say, free cooling and reducing the energy cost. India has become now a very good hub for the investments, but are we ready to handle that growth? The potential or the benefits India has, that we have the capable manpower, we have the connectivity, and we have that all infrastructure needed to be set up here. But the one major issue, that this all data center population in India is based in Navi Mumbai and NCR region. These two places are highly polluted outside, and like humans, machines also need a good quality of air to sustain and to perform. Whether he will agree, there have been many, I will say, instances where there has been failure happen in data centers, even in tier 4 data center, which is considered to be more robust and having 99.99% uptime. But a small invisible failure inside a chip because of not maintaining the right air quality can take down particular server, particular rack, or particular application which is used by the users. So growth, potential, and the necessity to make that happen is also important with the growth coming back to here. The uses currently, what has been increased because of the use of AI. If you remember, we were having 2G, 3G, then the 5G, and with AI now, not only the adults, even the kids are using it, and the usage has increased multifold, and that is putting pressure back on the hardware, on the data center infrastructure. So we need to maintain that environment suitable enough where these machines can perform better. Like when we talk to a surgeon, if he has a very sterile and good quality maintained operation theater, he can assure that the operation can be performed better. But if you ask him to operate in emergency conditions inside an normal ward or inside ambulance or inside house, then he may say the chances are not that good because the environment is not that good. So this is how we can relate in a common perspective, that how the air quality can affect the largest of the data centers also.
Great points coming from you. So Rohan, he pointed out to the importance of AIQ inside data centers. What are your views on it? Do you think it's very important for the health of a data center or the maintenance of its operations? This is a critical factor.
Yeah, absolutely. So, as he said, from, not just so when you build you can say a tier 3 or tier 4 rated data center, all aspects come into the play, whether it is, the redundancy of the power and the cooling, from how many sources is the power coming in, or how many redundancies you have in terms of the main cooling equipment, and the availability of power, the availability of water, whether it is there or not. If water is, say, in certain regions like in India, like if you go to the Western world or a remote place where water availability or sourcing of water is not that of a challenge, then all your cooling systems and everything are water based cooling. Especially when, unfortunately, in India till now all the data center concentration has been mainly based in and around the metros, where the population density is also the population is also very dense, and you cannot rely on water that much. So if you see in India, more than 90% of the data centers are air cooled. And so, as I said, not just you can say, while air quality plays a very major role, but in designing the longevity and designing the robustness of a data center, right from the availability of power, availability of water, redundancy in terms of multiple sources fiber coming in from, various or multiple 3 to 4 sources. And then inside the data center, with now, AI being your customer, AI is also there as your, you can say, you can say a helper to you. You can make use of AI to detect, the air quality, to take preventive actions in terms of your operations, in terms of, if there is a, say, a decay in air quality, if the outside air quality is not as per the expected standards or expected levels, then, you have the humidifiers, you have the, all the various other equipments that are available to make sure. And the customers also demand that, to take care of their, the GPUs and the CPUs that we talk are so expensive that if they are not taken care of, their lives will automatically come down. So there are certain standards, there are certain, you can say, air levels, quality levels that have to be maintained. They are continuously monitored 24/7. And for the, you can say, overall health of the server hall, overall health of the all the assets that are inside there, whether IT assets or whether non-IT assets, continuous monitoring 24/7 of each and every parameter, whether it is humidity, whether it is the power, whether it is the, air quality. All these things are 24/7 monitored and made sure that everybody is working towards the longevity of each and every asset that is hosted inside the server hall.
Right. So, as Rohan mentioned, how important or how crucial role is there to be played by indoor air quality. So, in this case, and he spoke about the longevity and the proper functioning of data centers. What do you think? How do you balance, energy efficiency with air quality optimization?
So, as you mentioned, when you decide to build a data center, you have to do a complete study, completely geographical environmental study of the particular site. And based on that, designers can decide whether I can use the outside air, if it is a cooler, to cool my server racks. So, in this case, with the right amount of the filtration, we can reduce the energy consumption by the air conditioners, and we can use the natural cooling to cool this high heat generating servers. Secondary, when we are using particular type of filters or the equipments, we can look for more energy efficient solutions available in the market that can be implemented, because in data centers, PUE is a very important, I will say, term which is used. That is nothing but the power uses effectiveness, where how much output power and how much input power, that is the ratio of that, and it should be, the target is to have it below 1, so that you are generating more output than the input you are giving. So, in that cases, how we can use the high efficient and low pressure drop filters, which can reduce, because the facilities are running 24/7. There is a very high amount of airflow used across the data centers because of the higher heat generated through the servers. And this small savings of even 1 kilowatt can turn into a megawatt given the volume what we are using.
True, true. So that was an excellent analogy coming from you, Deepak, on how ambient air or the air outside can also be used. That's a great example. What are some of the other new innovations which are coming up in the space of next generation air filtration and purification?
So mostly if you see the concept which was not there previously, which is now getting implemented most of the larger players, and Yotta is also one of them, that they keep their data hall pressurized by adding some amount of fresh air. So earlier it was a straight away fresh air coming with basic filtration which is going to the server hall, and when we realize that particular location, because Navi Mumbai was not on the chart earlier. We know that Malad is the area where we have the corrosion issues. We know NCR is the area where corrosion is the issue. But slowly with the rise in the industries, with the natural processes happening in the creek area around, especially the TTC area, which is also having a higher sulfur content, where then we implemented the solutions with the chemical filtration or the gas phase filtration, which is added in the TFL level where the fresh air comes inside, so that we can protect the data halls from these harmful pollutants coming in. Second cases where people are not aware, then we have given certain options which can be implemented in retrofit projects, where we are given the recirculation type units. It's like a data center air purifier which can be used to remove these type of gases and protect this $1 million hardware inside the facility.
Wonderful. Sticking on to you, with you, Deepak, do you think indoor air quality will become a standard benchmark in data center evaluations?
It has become, if I want to say, earlier it started from electronic control rooms and equipment rooms with the ISO 71.04. And then later when Ashray analyzed this is the issue coming up. So they implemented in 2011 about the guidelines to maintain the basic level of filtration in the recirculation mode, some higher level of filtration in the fresher mode, then to maintain certain reactivity levels for the copper and silver, because which are the heart of the PCBs which goes inside the GPUs or CPUs. Then in some cases I have seen they mentioned that you have to maintain ISO class 8 also, because we received inquiries for that where customer asking me HEPA inside the data center. So with chips becoming smaller and smaller, because we work in semiconductor industry also, and the size of the chips becoming so smaller that particles also become a concern specifically for the hardware manufacturers. And I don't see long time when people may ask to use HEPA in data centers also.
That is very, very interesting. So, as Deepak was talking about how, standards have emerged and frameworks have emerged over time, do you think that they are going to play a leading role in data center evaluations as these standards become increasingly stringent?
Data center, you can say from a commercial point of view as an asset class, is a new journey altogether. Till now, especially in a market like India, assetizing a data center was more on a commercial real estate kind of a, valuation, kind of, whether it is from a banking model, for banks or for any private equity or REIT evaluation or everything. Now, learning from the West, learning from all these things, the guidelines for, you can say, the assessing the correct value of a data center asset is, there are private agencies, there are special, you can say, technical teams who do the valuation of a data center, of an operating data center, say 5 years, 10 years into its life. And data center from a technical point of view or from an operational point of view is a totally different beast as compared to a normal, say, an ITS office or a commercial real estate property. There are so many parameters, as Deepak was mentioning, that inside a server hall, inside your electrical room, inside your mechanical room, and your terrace on the top where all the cooling system is there, your pipings and everything which is coming down right up to your server hall, your electrical floor, that if, say, a valuation of your asset is happening at, say, from a buyer who is going to come and value my asset, there are so many small parameters which the valuation valuator has to keep in mind, that whether the value is X or 2X or 5X, because the life of those assets at that point of time depend on the longevity of how my piping system is at that point of time, of whether how my generators are, whether the life that is still the operating life that is still remaining of each and every non-IT equipment, of each of my IT equipments. My contracts with the customers might still be, say, I might have 10-year contracts with the customers that are remaining. But if the life of my generators, of my chillers, of my PAHU systems, of my UPS systems, of my servers, of my GPUs, of those are still, say, only 2 years, 3 years less than what I have already mentioned on paper, because of all these small millimeters, or because of dust getting into my server hall, of my operational practices or my operations team not taking the appropriate, you can say, the AMCs and the warranties, and the operational practices not being in place, then automatically there is a big gap in what on paper value of my data center is and the actual valuation. Because if the buyer comes in, then he might have to, say, change the generator in next 2 years rather than, say, after 5 years. And all these assets that we are talking, these are high value assets. If you change the entire generators of say a 50 megawatt or 100 megawatt data centers, it is a big investment that the new buyer has to do. So now, thankfully, with professional agencies chipping in, those who understand data center operations, those who understand data center design, the service provider whose data center, who you can say who owns the data center, they have to take care of all these minute details right from day one. There cannot be any operational lapses. There cannot be any, you can say, shortcuts in terms of your AMCs, in terms of your, SOPs, in terms of your maintenances and your, the way you maintain your IT assets, the way you maintain your non-IT assets, and all these things have to be taken care and has to be as per the hyperscale or has to be as per the international standards right from day one.
Correct, correct. So great points coming from him that, as far as evaluation of a data center is concerned, several, factors would account for in that larger picture, of which, indoor air quality will also be one. Deepak, your, kind of parting words, do you think AI IAQ will redefine data center performance, say, in the next few years, 3 to 5 years down the line?
It is, and it will be, because you need that environment. No matter what development we do into chips, we are now into 7 nanometers, we will be going to 2 nanometers. So we are making the chips smaller and smaller, we are making the hardware smaller and smaller, and we are making it high power consuming equipment with high heat generation. So to take care of that, even now the people are talking about liquid cooling. You are spending again millions to use that setup. Even it also has copper, it also has the controls, and you need to protect them. Because even if you put the chips or the servers inside the liquid, the surrounding environment, the refrigerator has to be protected to keep the chips running in. So the air quality is important for machines also, because they also need that air to remove that heat which is continuously generated, and it's a tremendous amount of heat. You can't imagine. If you talk about nowadays, the normal server racks which we were designing earlier, 3 to 5 kilowatts, and we used to say 8 kilowatt is my limitation. Now the design starts from 25-30 kilowatt. You all have that GPUs coming up, and you just try to generate an image, and GPU is generating a heat like your gas stove. So you have to remove that, and to do that you need that medium which is mostly air, has to be maintained in the right quality to make the machines work better and survive for longer period.
Absolutely, and I think this brings us to the end of this discussion. Great point coming from you. As the hardware or the chips become smaller and smaller and the energy consumption increases proportionately due to the increasing digitization of society, I think it will continue to play an increasingly important role as far as the overall maintenance and health of data centers is concerned. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us. We've had a lovely discussion where we spoke about a range of issues, ranging from the importance of data centers in providing the backbone of today's technologies, whether it's AI, IoT, cloud computing, whatever, and then how critical it is to maintain them in optimal conditions so that their operations are not hampered, they are not interrupted, and the proactive measures and the innovations that today's enterprises can leverage in order to ensure the health and operational maintenance of these data centers. Thank you for joining us today for this lovely discussion.